Hello, welcome to Shooting Spitballs. This is the podcast where we drag under the microscope a whole manner of real-world video production scenarios, and then we figure out how to handle them when the unexpected hits on set. My name's Martin from Shot and Strong Films, and after years of shooting in all kinds of tricky situations, I'm here to pass on what I've learnt to new emerging video shooters that are looking for real, honest, practical advice. Advice that's going to help them stay sharp and adapt fast when things take a turn for the worst on set, which they often will do, believe me. In today's episode, we're joined by Geoff Cockwill and Matthew Rowley, two shooters with just enough experience to know better, but not enough to say no. We're diving into how to film a property tour walkthrough for an Airbnb couple. The brief: natural, relaxed, all in one take, ideally while they're still enjoying their granola. Alright, let's get into it. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of Shooting Spitballs. Happy to see you both.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
And who shall we go to first to introduce themselves? Geoff.
Me?
Yes.
Hello.
Would you like to give a brief introduction of how great you are?
Oh, well, thank you. My name's Geoff. I run a company called Silvertip Films. I've been making videos for 20 years nearly. And
as much as that.
It is much of that, yeah. Quite a lot of that with you as well.
Yes.
And do quite a wide range of things: events, promo videos, live streaming, bit of drone work, theatre, kind of all sorts of stuff, really. Yeah.
Very good. Let's go over to you, Matthew.
So I'm Matthew Rowley. I gone completely blank. Who am I and what do I do? So I do anything and everything video, really. Mm-hmm. I've been doing this since 2011. Company called Matbox Film. Mm-hmm. Anything and everything that needs filming, really. Live events, live streams, music, promo, corporate, anything that needs a camera. Yeah. I'll shoot it. Yeah. I just enjoy filming stuff.
Yeah, if I can point a camera at it,
exactly.
I'm there.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, very good. That qualifies you to be on this podcast, both of you. Wealth of experience amongst us, including myself.
But, absolutely, yeah.
Right then, so shall we get into it?
Okay.
Let's do it.
So Matthew, if you want to press that button, we'll have a look at our first scenario.
Okay.
What do you notice about this image, Geoff?
Is it made by AI?
Oh, you're not. Is Geoff going to be sick?
Feeling a bit sick right now.
How dare you?
Yeah, sorry to offend you. But,
we've had lengthy discussions about this, haven't we?
Yes, that's for a different episode, is it not? But, I have referenced you in previous episodes, so it's great to have you here. Hopefully you'll stick with us. As I keep saying, it's just a reference image. There's no real creativity here.
Yeah.
Are we okay to carry on, Geoff?
Yeah.
Good.
I can stomach it.
Right, let's give you the rundown here. So you've been asked by a wealthy couple who live on the outskirts of London. Could be anywhere. It doesn't have to be somewhere real, Geoff. They've asked you to do a video property walkthrough for their luxury apartment, which they want to host on Airbnb. So this walkthrough is going to be seen on YouTube, social media, or however else they see fit, basically. But with the aim of channeling people to book it on Airbnb or Booking.com or what else is there? Trivago?
Yep.
Yeah, it's endless. So we're going to split this up. Geoff, I want you to tell me how you'd approach it using sticks, i.e. tripod, and Matthew on a gimbal. Mm-hmm. So who would like to go first? Do you want to have a look at the pictures first?
Yeah, go on, please.
See what sort of a swanky pad it is. So there's the living room.
Nice.
There's the bedroom. Massive bathroom. The hallway. And that's it, really. So, let's... which one should we go back to? That one. The living room.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so you get an idea for the space.
Yep.
Lots of room to run around. So who wants to go first?
I can go.
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
So I've done various property things before, not property walkthrough tours per se, but I've done stuff for a particular estate agent. I've done quite a lot of stuff for them. Some of that has involved filming properties, and we did once do something with a piece of kit called the Giraffe 360. Have you heard of that?
The giraffe or the draft?
Giraffe.
No.
So it's got tripod legs on it, and then the camera unit comes up
Yeah.
high, hence the giraffe, and then it takes a photo of the room.
Oh, so you leave the room. press
For
record.
doing
Yeah.
walkthrough tours and things. I've seen those
Yes.
on like Rightmove and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly where you'd have it. So it's, a bit like Google virtual tour type thing. So we did a bit of that. But I have had lots of conversations with them and other people over the years about doing these kind of walkthrough videos. And I think for me, and you've probably seen this as well, you go and look at a property on a website and you go to the video bit and you click it. And most often, still these days, there are essentially glorified PowerPoint presentations of lovely photo slideshows. And a property is obviously something, it doesn't move. There's nothing happening within it. So photos are fine, I think, but you if you're going to do video, you've got to bring it to life. So by having a gimbal, and you can elaborate on this, you've got an advantage there already. But I would always propose the idea of, have you got someone that can be, a model for it basically, or a couple, because then you've got people that can do stuff within it and make it look alive. And I think particularly for, a higher end property that, has got quite a big price tag on it, people kind of want to be able to see themselves in it. And I think if they're going to be paying, $1 million, $500,000, one and a half, whatever, I think you can kind of push it a little bit and make a little polished production for it. And so if I could do that, I'd bring someone in and then do a very simple kind of narrative thing. They arrive and they come up and go in and sit down and, go through it like that. But if not, I'd want to bring as much life to it as I could, particularly with just the tripod, and maybe I'd bring my slider as well. So I've got an Edelkrone slider. It's like that long, and then it's like you've seen it when you slide through the head unit. It's great. You get double the length. So it's just a simple piece of kit that adds some movement. It allows you to kind of take advantage of some depth of things passing in the foreground, stuff like that. So I would, with just a tripod, lots of pans, lots of tilts to kind of show the space off a little bit, but I'd want to use the slider a bit so I could do just some basic movement.
So would you push through objects and run alongside objects?
Yeah,
and the back of the sofa and
exactly that sort of thing. So you're kind of, the viewer obviously watching. So then you're bringing them into the space, even if it's only that far kind of thing. It's something because with the tripod, you're sort of ending up just making a even more glorified slideshow presentation of just panning, and that's fine, but at least the slider then would take up. So I take your rules on this project, throw them out the window, and bring the slider in.
I like the slider option.
It gives you another movement as well, rather than just pans and tilts. You don't want it to look like Homes Under the Hammer. It's always the running joke I make with clients, like, this is a bit Homes Under the Hammer, isn't it? Like, all you've got available
up, down, left, right.
I tilt to the centre. I can watch Homes Under the Hammer with my eyes closed, and you can just describe what the shots are.
But you're right, Matthew. You go in there and you've just got the tripod. Well, what can I do? Right, come down from the ceiling, and do a pan across. Right, I covered that. Got two options on it. Move on.
Yeah.
You're really limited, aren't you? But like you said, you could do here just to do a.
Do you want to have a look at another room?
Yeah, can do. But you could push in through the doorway there into the bedroom, and immediately it's just a bit more interesting than tilting down into it or something.
Just a small amount of. You could do that thing where you raise one of your tripod. Have you ever done that? Raise one of your tripod legs and use it as a little, as a I don't know what you'd call it, almost a dolly in type movement. Yeah, you can just keep the head loose and tilt it. Yeah,
because I've done that with the slider. Loosen the head, and then you could start the slider to one side, and as you bring it over, you move the head round.
Oh, so you're panning and sliding.
Yeah,
nice.
And it's quite tricky, but when you get it,
many hours of practice, no doubt.
Yeah, and annoyed actors when you're like, can I just do one more? Just do another one. So
All right.
yeah, that's what I would do to it.
Anything else? No. You're quite limited on this.
Yeah, I think with that kind of equipment, you're quite limited, and I think
What about frame rates and lens choices?
I would probably shoot everything in slow motion, just because, particularly with the slider, if you get a little bit of give on it, it will help kind of hide that a little bit. And I think a lot of stuff looks better in slow motion. But then, obviously, the slight irony is you're shooting something that's not really moving. So but I just
Smooth out all your movements. And
yeah,
things,
that's it. It's just helpful to have it for the edit. I would shoot everything on a wide, probably my 1835. That would be good. But then, depending on what there is there, you'd get some close-ups maybe of the oven things, or it's stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't do close-ups in there on like cushions and plant leaves and stuff. It's pointless. Like, I can see it all in the room, and seeing what the fabric of the cushion is not going to make me buy the place or rent it.
We're getting close-ups of practical furnishings.
Yeah, I think so. If it was a kitchen
Not light
unit, yeah, but if there was, like, I've done a bit of kitchen stuff before, when you've got like soft closed doors and stuff like that, and or pull out shelving units, and some of those can be quite snazzy these days. So you'd show stuff like that, or the door, patio door equivalent there, sliding open to go out to a balcony or something like that.
Cool. All right, so it's your turn, Matthew.
From a gimbal perspective,
You've got a gimbal this time.
Yeah,
you're swine.
You're much more free.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, similar sort of thing. Keep plenty of movement in there, but keep it kind of subtle. I wouldn't be throwing a gimbal around a situation like that. But like you were saying, if I can get an actor, I can follow them into the apartment and then like go through a scenario. Just have them sit in the living room, get some shots of them from different angles. I'd want to, particularly if this is particularly high end and there's quite a nice view, I'd want to be there at the right time of day for the sun. So I'd ideally want a recce beforehand, so I can know where the sun's going to be at different times of the day. I've got a really useful app called Sun Surveyor that you can use to project where the sun's going to be over your camera lens, find out where it's going to be. Depending on how much budget and time I've got, I might be going a bit overboard. But the view here is really nice from the bedroom window, and it might be the wrong time of day to get a decent amount to balance inside and outside. So if I can put ND on the windows, it depends how high budget this is.
Seeing that shot back in the living room there with all the windows, and I was like, slightly freaking out about trying to
you want to see the view. You want inside as bright as outside.
So they just informed us that they have variable ND windows in this luxury apartment.
So I'd want to show that on camera as well, even if it's just my hand.
Just show them working. Get some hand modelling in there.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I think you made an interesting point there, Matthew. You wouldn't want to go wild with the gimbal because it's not really about us.
No.
And showing off with the camera moves and stuff like that. You need to do it nicely and well, but kind of functionally at the same time, because if you've got an actor in or something, it's about the viewer imagining themselves in it, and getting a good clear view of everything, and having a wild, 360, gimbal
It's just distracting,
shot.
isn't it? Yeah. The end user doesn't particularly care about your camera work.
No.
They want to see the details of the house. They want to see what it looks like. They don't really care how. Oh, what aperture do you use there?
No.
You want to see what's
They don't
happening.
want to see any barrel 360s.
Yeah, it's a shame. You can't do a contra zoom or like get
Contra zoom.
And you were saying about going and doing a recce, and maybe if you could put stuff up on the windows and things like that. In your experience, you find projects like this, it's a bit of a balance, because often the budget is what it is. And you haven't got the chance to go in beforehand to set things up or do a big recce or anything like that. So it sort of becomes about dealing with what you're given and getting the best as you can out of it. And if the windows end up being a bit blown out, because of the light, maybe they say you can only get in between 11 and 2, when the sun is at its highest or something like that. And you kind of just have to...
You just got to work with it. Go with it.
Go with it.
You can plan as much as you like, and then
and also in a way, and it's not dismissing it, but this kind of content is not necessarily long lasting. So they wouldn't spend a ton on it because it's going to go up. And maybe for Airbnb, it's going to last a bit longer. But if it's a rental property or sale property, it could go up and the place is gone in a week.
Yeah, so, and then it's not for sale for another 5 years, and your old video's out of date by that time anyway. Yeah.
So they want something good, but not super elaborate. Whereas if you were doing a promo piece in there, or something narrative,
if it's a TV commercial, for example,
you'd spend a lot longer on it. Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's. This is the segment in the show which everyone loves to hear.
Oh, how would you shoot it?
How would I shoot it? Exactly the same as you, Geoff.
Not the same as me.
I do have a little bit of.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry, I hadn't you, Matthew.
No, it's fine.
Sorry.
Just not ignore me. That's fine.
If you asked me, how would I shoot it?
How would you shoot it?
Exactly the same as you, Matthew.
Oh, thank you.
You just need to ask.
Oh, thank you. I'm flattered.
One sort of small tip. If you're shooting, say, 50 frames and you're going left to right on a slider, and just be mindful of when you're going sliding left to right, if you're looking at your shot real time, how you think you want it to look in the edit, that's not right. You need to do it double speed.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Little sort of things like that.
Yeah.
You have to get right.
That's very
Otherwise,
true.
the shot's going to be too long.
Yeah, because exactly, you can do a slow slide, and you think, I've got really good control on that. And then, of course, when you're at 50 frames, you get in, and they're like, "Is it moving? I can't really see anything happening." So I have to remind myself of that sometimes. Yeah, I need to go a bit quicker on this to get the actual effect.
That's one. In a situation like this, I'd shoot at 50 rather than in S&Q. So when you shoot at 50, but it's recording it to 25 frames, I'd shoot it at 50 so I can play with speed. If I want to play it back at the speed that I saw it on the monitor, I can. But if I want to play it back half speed, I can do that as well.
Yeah.
Good
yeah,
points.
and exactly, you get that option then. Yeah.
Very good. Right, Matthew, are you ready?
As will ever be.
So your client has a question for you. Hi, Matthew. Yeah, you're doing a great job so far. Loving what we're seeing. Can we do a version for TikTok, as in like a vertical version? Is that okay? Don't know what accent that was.
I did like it though.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you talk like that every time I see you?
On the phone, yeah.
Yeah.
Late at night?
Do I need to pay for that?
Yes.
I love the classic producer, start with loads of compliments and then immediately throw a spanner in the works. Yeah.
You could have given it a bit of a better shit sandwich there. Am I allowed to say that?
There we go.
So the classic, I want it in, can it be in vertical as well as horizontal?
Yeah.
It really depends. I mean, if that's what they want, they are the client and you have to make it work for them.
Bear in mind, you've forgotten your vertical mount.
Okay.
What are you going to do?
So I think I would just shoot wider and then leave the camera mounted landscape, unless my gimbal that I'm shooting on can flip to portrait, in which case I'd do that. Otherwise, I would pull back wider and use a guide on the monitor so I can frame it correctly. But it's not going to be ideal because you want shots like this nice and wide to see all the space. You don't really want to see the ceiling and the floor as much. Yeah. So it won't go as well. It won't look as good. But I think just shoot wider and then crop it digitally afterwards if I can't physically move the camera around for it.
Okay.
So Chris Carr that films with me and you've worked with as well. Guy, I've known him since we were like 17 or something, a long time. But when iPhones first started coming out and everyone was shooting vertically, Chris used to say people had VVS, vertical video syndrome, where we'd get sent stuff that people had shot and they'd say, can you edit it? And you'd get this little strip and Chris would be like, oh, they got VVS. Now the whole world's got VVS. But now there is a little push to going horizontal again, I think.
Yeah, it's a revival.
Yeah, to doing it properly.
So our eyes aren't going to turn that way over time.
Evolved.
Or just slightly diagonally.
Just cricking your neck.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Also, another little... you could maybe talk them into having... They do a lot of split screen stuff, don't they, these days? You could like 3 horizontal videos. Especially if it's on TikTok. Yeah,
that could be nice for if you see a nice wide shot of the kitchen, then you can have details like that soft close. Maybe if they've got, I don't know, one of those hot water cooker, hot water tap type, like little details that might.
Unashamedly, I do have one of those.
Nice.
Never going back. Yes. All right. Geoff, it's your turn.
Okay.
Are you ready, sir?
Yeah.
This is a funny one because you've hinted at it already. So this is
Is it same producer, same client?
personal preference because I introduced this as a red herring, but yeah. Hi, Geoff. Still going well so far. My wife, she loves the camera, and she's thinking that maybe she'd like to be in it, like presenting, like a walkthrough. Like MTV Cribs or something similar. What do you reckon about that? Would that work? Yeah, I you think it does work?
To have a presenter or a person?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I think.
But maybe not so in like presenting the way they want it presented. You were thinking like more what's the word?
As a
In
model,
situ.
rather than-
Yeah, model shots. Yeah, but beauty shots basically.
Yeah.
So in the lounge there, for example, someone comes, sits down, a bit like when we did the magazine subscription thing. We had ladies sit down, open up a post, and go through the magazines and stuff. So just kind of beauty modelly type shots like that. I think. Increasingly these days, particularly for small businesses, putting yourself out there and going on camera, I think is a really big deal. People buy from people and they invest in people. So the estate agent that I do some stuff for, they recently had a new woman start on the team, and she was being really confident about going on camera.
Yeah.
And they've started doing a ton of social stuff, property tours and things that, we trained them for it, me and Mike, years ago. This is how to film it, this is how to talk on camera, all this kind of stuff. And they never really did anything with it. And she's come in and gone, right, let's do it. And it's great, because finally they're taking advantage of it. So I think if you're going to, if you've got properties, have one person or the team on camera doing it. So in this instance, if, the client's wife or husband said they'd do it, I'd probably say let's not
talk them into your
you be in it as a model. But I think because this is perhaps for most Airbnb type things just a one-off place that they're going to rent, I think it might be a bit weird to have someone present it unless you self-filmed it and you're like, right, hi, this is me, going to take you around
bloggy feeling rather than
exactly. That would be the way to do it. I think it's there's no set rules to any of it, I guess, really. But if we were going to go in and gimbal it or do it on the sticks and stuff, I'd say let's have a model rather than you presenting it as a one-off scenario type thing.
And people might not
maximise sales, don't they?
Yeah, people might not be watching this with sound on, so they might not hear what it's. And if it's particularly it's London and you're selling the place, international market, they might not speak English.
Yeah.
They might be watching with sound on. Then you'd have to subtitle it, and that's distracting. But yeah. And you might not have bought. If you're filming a property walkthrough, you might not have bought sound gear with you.
Yeah, quite possibly.
You might not be expecting at all to be recording any sound, so you might not have audio gear with you anyway.
Yeah.
The model is much nicer.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that would be the best way to do it.
It's all about sort of the tact, how tactful you are in approaching that with the client. Because you don't want to just say no, you don't want to cut them off because no one wants to just have that idea shut down. But it's about
be steered.
Exactly, yeah. It's about coming. Well, we can do that, but we can also and suggest the reasons why.
Yeah, because it's their video at the end of the day, and we're there to facilitate that and make it happen. But as a sort of bit of an outsider, you kind of have an idea of what will and won't work, and exactly like you say, it's steering them and not doing it in a blunt or upsetting way. Yeah.
Because it's quite easy sometimes for clients to get caught up in it because they're as the camera operator, you're closer to the viewer than they are.
Yeah.
And if sometimes they're too close to it to see the whole picture and how it's going to come across to a viewer who's never seen it all before because they've been planning this for ages and they know all the details. Yeah. Sometimes it's difficult for them to step back and see it from a viewer's point of view.
For sure. Okay, guys. Thank you for your wealth of knowledge there. Geoff, have you had any similar scenarios where you've had to kind of rescue a shoot similar to this?
No, like I said, I haven't done any kind of real, big property kind of walkthrough stuffs, but I've had situations in the past, I'm sure you've had this, where client says, "Oh, we've got a room to film in, for the interview or whatever," and you get there and you think, "Oh God, what am I going to do with this?" So that's where the 50mm comes out. You get as much distance between the shabby wall, them and you as you can, and hope you can have a softer, depth of field as possible.
Classic, yeah. They put you in the board. We've got you the boardroom. The boardroom's available all day, and there's a huge table that you can't move.
Yeah.
It's echoey, and the air conditioning is stuck on.
Yeah.
And the lights are on automatic, and you can't switch them off. Yeah, it's all about sort of working around. It's always the fun. That's part of the job that I like.
And bizarrely, it's kind of a challenge. Exactly. There is a creative element to it.
Yeah, the creative problem solving.
Yeah. How can I make this look good? I did something last year. So we set a room aside for it, and we went in, little round table, glass, windows that were sort of frosted, green wall, windows, green wall, and got in there, and I was like, it's not as big as they'd made out. I can shoot into a green wall, I can shoot against the windows, or I can shoot against these frosted window, door bits. So in the end, shot into the corner.
Yeah.
So had a bit of green wall, bit of frosted windows, some out of focus movement of people as they went up and down occasionally.
Yeah.
And it was all right. It was making the best of not an ideal situation. And then before we started recording, I was saying about did some stuff for an escape room.
That's right. Yeah.
And like sometimes you get challenges like this. The room's not finished, so we can't show everything, and we don't want to show everything because we don't want to give away the secrets, and the answers to things. So we're going to wear gloves and we're going to do close-ups on things. And I get it completely. It's necessitated by it not being finished, but also they don't want people to watch and go, "Oh yeah, I know now know what to do in there." Yeah. But then it's how do you make that work on screen? So that was where I used the slider just to do some push-ins on some of the objects and the details, because I had to go small rather than being able to go big on it all. So yeah.
Which is quite nice for an escape room. You don't want a big, you want sort of teasy. It's all about mystery and problem solving and teasing things. So yeah, little small details of stuff without giving too much away.
I think without kind of blowing my own trumpet, I've watched those back and thought, yeah, it's good. It maintains the mystery. And I've seen other escape room videos where it's all out in the open and it looks great, but I'd like to go into there and go, oh my God, look at this place.
Yeah, you don't want to see the escape room on a video before you show up. You want to walk through the room and see it for the first time. Yeah.
Get a hint of it, but without kind of blowing it. So, I don't know if that really answers your question, but there you go.
No,
that's what you're getting.
No, it's good. That's good. Matthew, what about you?
I've had similar. I've done a few sort of real estate sort of tour things. I did some for a company who do they're actually a carpentry company that did all the carpentry. This huge big place in London, where they took us and showed us the penthouse apartment, and they said, "Oh, this is it's currently on sale for 10.5 million. It was 13 million 2 months ago, and now it's 10.5." You're like, "Oh, 10, only 10.5?
I'll just buy that now."
Money. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I've had things where. Yeah, can you do it like with your escape room? Things aren't ready. I've had that with show off the kitchen, and beforehand they're telling us all the features that they've put in these kitchens, like the hot water tap type things. And then I get there and none of it works. Yeah. But they still want close-ups of things. And you've got to shoot. Yeah, exactly. You've got to shoot around what actually does work.
Do you get? Can you add the water in post?
Oh yeah, loads of things. Can you add this in post? If you've got a $500,000 budget, you can what you like.
Do what you want,
for this, no. Yeah, I've had similar things like that where, things don't work. They want specific close-ups that you then can't get.
Yeah.
But then sometimes it's about juggling the communication of that, because you get the person who sent you isn't the person who meets you on set. So as far as they're concerned, everything works. Yeah. And then you get there and the actual people on the ground are like, oh, actually, because of this happened, this doesn't work. Yeah. So then you've got to just get out in front of it, so that the person who has hired you, who is back at the office, who thinks everything works, knows that beforehand, when you then deliver the video of why didn't you get a close-up of the soft close, or when you get a close-up of this, you just have to sort of manage their expectations given what the scenario.
Yeah, and you can only do what you can do in a situation like that.
Yeah. An old neighbour of mine is an old veteran BBC cameraman, and he always used the term, my best work looks average. because I've been put in a situation that's terrible, and there's absolutely awful situations I've managed to make it look passable.
Yeah.
But had you seen what it looked like before I walked in, it would look terrible.
And I think that's the difference, when you know what you're doing, you can take something that's not ideal and make it all right. And I sometimes feel like, it's something that I've shot that I maybe wasn't happy with overall is actually probably okay, because I've been able to make it look good, even if I would have rather not had the light coming through the windows and, the wall wasn't green or what, do you know what I mean? But it's so that kind of thing that your neighbour says is kind of quite apt, really.
Yeah, quite, yeah.
I think I've had many property shoots where they've always still got the seal on the toilet lid.
Oh yeah,
so
classic.
You can't open it. It's like fragile, and on the hallway carpets, so they're still like covered in plastic, and it's like,
Can you hide that? Yeah,
Should I come back next week?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Just paint it out. Just fix it in post. Just paint it out in post. Yeah. Just get AI to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
AI.
Sorry, I said that. Sorry, caught myself there.
Wash your mouth out.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
I think that brings us to a close. Matthew, socials? Do you want to give a big shout out?
Yeah, you can find me at mattboxfilm.com, mattbox film.com. That's
Cool.
me.
Okay, nice and simple. What about you, Geoff?
Yeah, I'm silvertipfilms.co.uk and on most socials as at silvertipfilms.
At Silvertip Films. Brilliant.
Are you on Instagram and all that?
I'm not at the moment. I'm not the biggest fan of Instagram, if I'm honest.
Interesting.
And a lot of stuff I do is NDA'd, and I'm not allowed to take like behind the scenes shots. So a lot of stuff it's on my call sheet, like do not take, like don't take pictures. You can't do any of this. So I can't use any of it for myself.
Yeah.
That's an interesting topic for another time. What do you do to promote yourself when you can't?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll be around for that episode then. We'll book ourselves in for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come on and host that episode with you.
I look forward to dragging you both back for that episode, yes. And with that in mind, let's bring this to a close. So thanks again.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Matthew. Thanks, Geoff. Thank you, Matthew.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thanks,
myself. Right. See you soon.
Thanks, everyone.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow, subscribe, or leave a review, whichever platform you're watching or listening on. If you've got any thoughts, questions, or ideas for future episodes, then drop me a comment below or email me at martin@shotandstrungfilms.com. I'll catch you in the next episode, where I'll be joined by 2 more guests as we take a trip to a theme park where reading from an auto cue is the real roller coaster ride.